Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, B.C. Clark.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. This is the Business Connection, and I'm your host, B.C. Clark. Today, my guest is LaWanda Moore. I'll tell you a little bit more about her, or she will, in just a few moments. As you know, I interview business owners across the state and sometimes out of state. So today, Mrs. Moore is going to talk to us a little bit about her home health agency.
Sure.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about LaWanda, and then we'll talk about the show.
Oh, you want to talk about LaWanda?
Just a little.
Well, my name's LaWanda Moore, and I have a background history of just caring for people. Mm-hmm. I was my parents' personal caregiver. So I eventually wanted to be a social worker. But when that didn't work out, I kind of fell into a gerontology program, mm-hmm. which I really love learning the aging process and what people go through. And being the type of person that I am, I figured I could be a great asset to that field because I love helping people.
Mm-hmm. Especially after going through that process.
Yes.
Because I think it gave you some insight on what they need.
Yes.
And how you could effectively, help them.
Exactly.
So I think that was a great
yes.
asset for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So knowing that when you're working with the elderly population, it's more than just caring for them and helping them. Mm-hmm. It's really showing them love. Mm-hmm. So many of them, when they reach a certain age in their life, so many have gone.
Yeah.
Children and family live in other places. And so when we go into the homes of these people, they're looking for more than just, helping them get dressed or mm-hmm. helping them cook or whatever.
Companionship, right?
Yeah. And they want it to be natural and
genuine.
Honest. Genuine is the word. Yes, they want it to be real genuine. So, and that's where, kind of the love come in. Mm-hmm. That's where I got the name from, because I knew that the service that we provide is more than just home health or
right.
Home care. Mm-hmm. It's showing love mm-hmm. because you can never really get paid for what you do for people.
No.
Helping them, lifting them, wiping, whatever we have to do. Yeah. But it's the love that makes the difference.
And it's the love of the lifestyle that you're giving them.
Yes.
Because anybody could bring those services to them.
Yes.
But when they see that you are making their life better, that love becomes a lifestyle change for them. So as they're aging in that, you're showing them the love they need all the way through.
Yes.
As opposed to just coming and going and no relationship, no companionship.
Exactly.
So I love that about the name LTN Senior Care, right?
Love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor.
And that's
I think that in just the name, people kind of feel that, and so I think it was a great name.
Thank you.
I really do. Yeah. And the way you explained it, to say, we don't just bring the services in, but we bring the genuine love because we love being able to show them a better life in their time of aging.
Yes.
And most people ignore them at that age.
Yes. And that's the whole point. We want to give the message to them that you're not forgotten about.
Yes.
God has not forgotten about you, and we represent God when we go into the home mm-hmm. and show them love, because loving our neighbor is the second most important commandment.
That's right.
And you're right, most people, when they find us, that name draws them.
Mm-hmm.
And
draws them in.
Right, because sometimes some of the phone calls I get, people are asking, are you faith-based? Do you love God? And I'm like, I saw the name, and it gives them a sense of like
comfort,
comfort, or safe. they're safe to,
This is somebody that's going to take care of me.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I think that it was really smart to do that because, and obviously I came from the Holy Spirit, but you know what I mean? But
Yes.
it's good because even when you hear that, love thy neighbor, how many of us don't even know our neighbors?
Yeah. And that's anyone we
And it's-
meet.
That's
Anyone.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's anyone. It doesn't necessarily mean the people next door, but if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love the people next door.
Right.
So I think that that's really, really good. So when did you get started as a business owner in this, LaWanda?
So when I actually got started, it was 2014.
Okay.
It was actually a project I did in one of my gerontology classes. We were to create a business that would help seniors in our community. And it could be a business that already exists. We just had to show how ours was going to be different. So Love Thy Neighbor was actually a Meals on Wheels, and,
Yeah.
assignment that I
Yeah.
turned in. But I turned it into I said, wow, I
business.
can really do this. And so, so 2014 is when we got started.
And so in that journey of getting started, because I love our audience to understand, sometimes we have people that are thinking about starting a business or sometimes they're in business and didn't do some of the steps on the way there.
Yeah.
So they're kind of stuck or what have you. But talk about that process of getting ready to, make this a business, the planning part of it.
Sure. So I knew that, just from talking with other business owners, the first thing that I would probably need to do was get an LLC to be legit, to make it legit. So that was the first thing I did. And then I knew that I had to have a place where I did business. So I rented a small space, because I didn't want to. I think when people see that you have an office, they know that you mean business.
Yes.
You're legit. So
Right.
I always maintain an office for, administrative work and stuff. So I just started with the basic things and build up on that, first getting the LLC, getting, tax information straightened out, and learning those things, what it takes to have employees, what's required. A lot of the stuff I just kind of looked up on the, internet and on the Nebraska website. At that time, I didn't have a coach or anyone. I just
Right.
kind of Googled and found
Well, sure.
information.
Google has a lot of information, yeah.
So that's how I got started. And I think the most important thing when you're starting a business is to make sure that, depending on what type of business it is, you don't want to do, if you could do business out your home, that's fine. But I always thought it would be tacky to say that you're a business and, your address is your home. So,
Yeah, there's quite a bit of things that have changed too to help small businesses who are consultants and things like that don't want to spend money for overhead, which is smart because when you get an office, then you're already now having an expense.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you first get started, nowadays there are post office boxes that appear as actual addresses.
Okay.
And so a lot of people do those, especially if they are the type of business where they are building that to come, to the income. They want a certain amount of income coming in.
Okay.
And if it's not consistent, you don't want to be stuck with overhead.
Yeah.
So you want to watch
And I
your expenses when
understand
you So you want to watch your expenses. The other part of that is planning. I think that a lot of people miss that step of actually planning. They'll say, I'm starting a business. I'm going to go ahead and start this business. And I think, if nothing else, you should talk to other people that you might know that's already in business.
Yes.
It always helps to get some insight from people who are already doing it.
Yes.
It's just an advice I always say. But if you feel like maybe you're new to that particular city or state, you don't know a lot of people, places to visit. It's like SCORE, going there and just find out some of the stuff that you need. And although they may not have all the answers for you, but at least a place that you can go and research information, because they keep a lot of a particular library there that you can start researching on your industry and stuff like that. But again, you can do it on Google as well.
Yeah.
There's going to be so much information out there. And with AI, it's incredibly more.
Yeah.
Just knowing what you need to do and then getting the legal aspects of things in order, I think is really important. But then planning that business becomes the number one priority because there's
Exactly.
things that you need to do, need to know
Yeah.
in order to get going, and then how you will run that business. You know, you can't have that in your head.
Yeah.
You know, how to operate. You can't have it in your head. How are you going to market it?
Yeah.
It needs to be on paper
Yeah.
because even if you have the funds to start a business and the business that you want to start, that's fine. But at some point in time, you may need to get assistance, you know, some
Oh,
loan
absolutely.
resources and things like that. And so you'll need to have a business plan that they can look at and see what your plans are, how you plan to run it, how you plan to make money to pay them back, and what are your financial goals, right? So your pro forma and all that comes into place. And I think when I'm meeting with people, a lot of them think that it's just, oh, I have an LLC now.
Yeah.
I say, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for them to tell me the next thing. And they're waiting for me to say, oh, great, you got an LLC. I'm waiting for them to say, here's my business plan. I've completed that and my LLC. And I'm looking at, you know, launching in about 6 to 9 months. I know that you're serious.
Yeah.
But if you come to me and say, I got my LLC, and then we're both looking at each other. So I'm just wondering, you know, so, and I just make those things because every day I encounter that. Every day I encounter that from people telling me, oh, I got my LLC. I'm ready to do business. And I ask, where's the business plan?
I would encourage anyone to seek some kind of coaching to start a business, because if I'd have known I needed a business plan, that would have been the first thing I would have done.
Yeah.
First thing. But I didn't learn that 2 years later, and I was already
in business.
operating in
That's
business.
how a lot of business, that's what happens. Those are steps that they miss.
Yeah.
And what I found out, and I have probably said and met with, I mean, just even the last 5-10 years, people will sit in front of me and they'll, oh, I didn't do a business plan. They've been in business now for 5 years. I said, how do you know what to do next? Well, I'm just running the business.
Yeah.
And that's actually what happens. They just run the business. Pretty soon they see the sales go like this here
Yeah.
because they haven't planned for anything.
And it also depends on what type of business that you have.
It does.
But-
But even, you got to grow.
Yeah. I think every business does need a business plan. But like with my business, I just started out getting contracts. But
And that's fine.
yeah, you know,
know?
contract and just going into the homes. But I think, well, I know that if I had started with a business plan, I would have been further than what I am now. So
And
but
you know what? Yeah, and I'm not saying that because Bill Gates probably didn't have one, you know. But I'm just saying that to do it successfully, and what I've studied about is that 90% of all businesses that get started fail. Only 10% are successful.
Wow.
And so when you look at those numbers, my goal was to find out why such a high rate of those failing. Well, and then I studied that there are different traits that can signify to an advisor, a business advisor, or a coach, if that person have those traits to be successful.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, I'm just going to get in business and people are just going to come. And of course, that's a false assumption.
Well, also having a business coach or, you know, advisor, that costs as well.
It
So a
costs,
lot
yeah.
of people
That's an
figure-
expense.
Yeah, it's an expense. And so,
But it saves you in a long run.
yeah.
Because if you can start off with a good foundation and having everything
build
in
up,
place when you need, because without the foundation, how are you building?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, that's really biblical. You know, you gotta, you have to be on a firm foundation.
Yeah, some
and to
people
me, that,
do need that.
yeah, that firm foundation is, number one, understanding the business that you're going in, researching that industry to see what the trends are. Is it viable? You know, is it something that's going to make money 5 years down the road, 10 years
Yeah.
down the road? And I think that there should be reality checks in that plan.
Yeah.
You know, after 3 years, you know, you have to do your LLs, you know, what did I learn? Is this business growing? I mean, there's all kinds of statistics that tells you about a particular industry. It was just one of the things that I like to look at because it talks about future industries and they talk about past industries. You know, so what happened in 14, you know, we saw a growth of, you know, 2.3 million in this particular business.
Yeah.
In 2025, we see that there is a slight uptick, you know, of growth. And so we're looking at those things because when you're looking at your business getting started, yeah, you may have people coming in and the first 2 years is just great. But you notice on that third year, people start calling glory,
Yeah.
you know? And then so I think that a lot of times you need to continue to look to see what you might need to change because change is constant.
Yeah.
You know, and
No,
if
it's
we look at all the restaurants around town, we see restaurants coming up and all of a sudden they're all full,
Yes.
right? So what is it that keeps them going? And it has to be how they're serving the people. So
Yeah.
customer service is really cool. And I know
That's
that's a
number
number
one.
one in your
Yes.
business. So talk about that a
Absolutely.
little bit in your business because, you know, I mean, I just want them to hear about your business because we're highlighting businesses this month. That you're the last one in the month that we're highlighting.
Okay.
And so, but it's a great business and that's why I wanted to bring it to the audience. So talk a little bit
Well,
about some of those things.
You mentioned customer service. It is a service that we provide. And so we try to train, we train everyone that we hire. They go through a level of training. So there are some do's and don'ts, but it's, it's experience too. Most people that are in this field come with experience.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, so no one really, as a matter of fact, you have to have experience,
To
at
come
least a year.
Yeah.
Because we're working with the elderly, so we don't want to make any mistakes or whatever. But yeah, I mean,
And do you hire a lot of CNAs and phlebotomists, or you don't do?
the nurses, we hire nurses. There's no need for like phlebotomists or anything like that because the nurses, if they need to draw blood or things
They
like
can
that,
do that.
they can do
They're
that. So the
certified to do that.
RN, we hire RN, CNAs, certified nurses assistants, CMAs, certified medication aides.
Okay.
And we also hire feeding assistants.
Okay.
We train. So Love Thy Neighbor, we will be starting a training center where we actually certify people. And
Awesome, I
eventually,
love it.
yes, and eventually be a school that actually certify you to be an RN as well. So that's our future goals, our
Yeah,
long-term goals.
that's awesome.
So that we'll make sure people are on, our level of care that we want to provide.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So that way, and I think that that's really great because by having your own people that you train to do the things that you do keeps your quality
Yes.
of service at the standard that you're at.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing, and that's really important.
Exactly.
So having them trained from the get-go,
Yes.
they know already what to do once they get
Right.
on the job.
Exactly.
That's
how
amazing.
To conduct themselves, the things to say, because there's a state standard or when you're being certified as a CNA or
Right.
RN, there's a state requirement, and then I would implement Love Thy Neighbor standards and what we stand for.
And what you stand for, yes.
Yes.
I love that. And I think that most businesses should do that because,
Yeah.
so there's certain certifications for things, I have two grandkids that are in medical. She's still in college, but she's a CNA, certified CNA, but she wants to be a neonatal nurse.
Oh, okay.
And then so her brother is volunteer firefighter at Bennington. He's also certified through Creighton's EMS
Okay.
and paramedicine.
Okay.
So, so I kind of understand there's certain things you got to do statewide, but then I think, like you said, we need to show them what our standard is. And a lot of
Right,
times
right.
it's on that upper level because
Right.
you want to continue to maintain that type of service and going
Yes.
forward, because that's what happens a lot of times, right?
Yes.
People start out with good service and quality and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then all of a sudden,
They just let things go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're saying, no, our business isn't that way. We're going to run this business and it's going to always be at the highest quality of customer service and care
Yes.
because we love the people that we're caring for.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. And one of our visions that we have is that we would treat people the way we want to be treated.
Yes.
Knowing that someday we're going to be old.
That's
if
right.
we, if we
That's
are
right.
blessed to see
If you're
old
blessed.
age.
Exactly.
And you never know where life is going to
Sure.
lead you to and what type of help you're going to need.
Right.
But remembering that how you treated someone, that's
Yes.
how you want to be treated. So.
I love, and I know, but I love seniors, and I,
do
just
too.
in the latest in our church, I used to have certain things that we would all go to. I would bring them into the home, and we
Yeah.
just do stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I had a lady in California. I was a friend with her daughter, but I spent more time with her mother.
Yeah.
She was in a wheelchair and she didn't get to go anywhere, so I would take her to the beach.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Why do you want to waste your time?" And this was her mother.
Yeah.
Why do you want to waste your time? It was just that it was
Yeah.
something, in me that was like, she's sitting here all the ways in the house, never. And so I did that until I moved from California, and she was like, "I hate to see you go." That was really hard for me out of everything. It was like, oh my God. But anyway, I have that heart, and it does take a special heart
Yeah.
to work with
And
seniors.
it wasn't until I started this that I realized this is what I'm called to do.
That's what you're called to
Looking
do.
back all the
You're
way,
so good at it.
yeah, and looking back in my childhood days, I remember even in church how I would just sit with the mothers. And I wasn't sure if it was because they gave me peppermints
Yeah.
or I just loved them.
You love them. You love them.
So yeah, but I would always sit with the mothers, and I was always intrigued at the mothers board. I would always,
Yeah, you have the heart for them,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's something that is given. Like people sometimes that's why it's so important to find out what your purpose is.
Yeah.
Because once you find out what your purpose is, everything happens there.
Falls in place.
Oh my gosh,
Everything falls in
I mean,
place.
it just starts
naturally. Yes.
and that's why I know that this is where I was called.
Yeah.
I'm called to small business. It's just what it is.
Wow.
And the thing is in every aspect, because I don't want to just show people how to start a business. I want to help them grow the business. I want to help them understand what it is to own the business.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to say I have a business. It's another thing to say I own a business. Those are two.
Wow.
Having and owning is two different things. You know what I'm saying? So when you own that business, you're putting into that business,
Yes.
you're making sure that you're putting back into it what you're getting out of it, so that
Yes.
business continue to grow. You're doing the same things to continue to grow, keep the
Yes.
good customer service, making sure your employees are doing the same thing.
Yes.
And if you don't own it, none of that happens. If you don't own it, you're spending money on things that don't make any sense. You're going in and out being what you call, I have a business instead of being, I own a business, and I want to make sure that the employees are trained. I want to make sure that my customers are being taken care of.
That's
All of
right.
that is a part of having a great business.
Right.
These businesses that last for 15, 20, 25 years, believe me, there is a process that
Yes.
they didn't change.
Yes.
There are steps that they did change.
Yes.
And so when people that are new come up and say, oh, well, I'm gonna be changing things, I'm gonna be doing this, I'm doing, and they don't have any experience. And usually I let them talk,
Yeah.
and I help them if I can, but I'm not gonna run behind them to help them.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for the ones who come in with already their minds made up and they're owning what they're doing,
Yeah.
not the ones I have.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at things,
Yeah.
You talked about the school, which is
Yeah.
good. When do you think that you'll start to work on that to get that kind of offshoot? I know. I tell this story all the time. I know, and Bill Gates said this. He said, when he was working in his garage, and building things, the computer stuff, he said that he knew that when he wrote out what he wanted to do, he had a 25-year big, hairy, audacious goal. And that was in 25 years, he would have his software in every computer around the country. People laughed.
Yeah.
People laughed at him.
Yeah.
Where is it now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always tell people when they're planning their business that they should have, even if they don't want to go out 25 years, go out 10 years. Have that big, hairy, audacious goal 10 years out saying, that's where I'm going. And so every 3 years, when you're in your plan, in your strategic planning, you're looking at making things happen for that particular thing to launch.
Yes.
Right, in 10
Yes.
years. And when you
Yes.
get close to that, you're going to have another big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Another 10 years out. And so that you're always shooting for that next thing. Because if you have no goals, nothing happens.
Right,
If you don't
exactly.
set any priorities of what you plan to make happen.
Yep,
Just
don't
like
have no vision.
revenues, just like revenue. Some people say, well, I don't set revenues. Why not? You need a revenue goal. You need to say, this is how much I need to make every month.
Right.
Right? And if I don't make it, okay, what did I didn't do in order to make that? And then the next month, I need to make that much.
Right.
And then the next month. And then when I'm steady making that, now I need to set that goal higher. What do I do? What services I need to add? What products? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And sometimes people don't think past that.
Yeah.
So you almost need a coach, someone that can advise you in business that have the understanding and keeps up on what's trending and what needs to happen for you to be successful. Like I
Yes.
said about the traits, you know, there are certain traits in people who will be successful and you'll know it by those traits. But most people don't study the traits. But I'm trying to figure out why so many or only 10% become really successful. So I study what makes them successful so I can help the 90% that keeps failing.
Okay.
Because sometimes a lot of that is mind shift change,
Yeah.
belief change, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I looked at all that, I was like, okay, this can change. They can have a successful business if they're willing to work for it.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Some people are only trying to work to get
A check.
this much money. And as long as they're getting that much money, they think it's okay. But wouldn't you want to make a lot of money so then now you can, you know, bless the charities that you may have, bless your family, bless, you know what I mean?
I think if it's a passion, you know, the money's going to come because it's something.
You can't chase the money. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the passion.
I always say that a lot. I always say, you can't chase money.
No.
You can't. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. That's why
Yes.
you have to know what your purpose is.
Exactly.
Because
First
if you work
and
in that
foremost.
purpose and you're serving in that purpose and you're doing the work,
Yeah.
the money is going to come.
So don't worry
Always.
about that. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's what I stand on. The money will come if you do. Because you know what? He says, you make one step and I'm going to make two.
That's right.
But we have to make our steps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have to
can't-
be doing the
yes,
work.
Exactly.
We have to be serving. So I never
Yes.
tell people I'm working on something. I'm serving people.
Yes.
I serve his people. You know, business owners, and some people that come to me that think they want to start a business and sit there and talk to me for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they need help in their marriage, you know. So you know what I'm saying? They come, so you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but the Holy Spirit is there to guide you and direct you so that people understand what's happening. But if you are not in your purpose, then those seasons are out of whack.
Yeah.
And you're not working where you should be working at.
It's
Right?
going to take a little faith too.
It takes
took a whole lot of
faith.
faith for me.
It takes faith.
whole lot
And faith is not hard. It's just that you have to believe
Yeah, you got to move.
and you have to move in it.
you gotta move.
Absolutely.
Action.
You know. So when you think about that, what are some of the things that you would want to say to the audience that now that you're in your business, just give a couple tips that you think people should really hone in on when they're thinking of starting a business or even getting in the business and then do
Keeping
certain
it
things.
going is, you know, once you've mastered one level, so once you know how to, for me, get the clients, challenge yourself to something different. Okay, like with me, okay, I got the clients locally. Now let me try to be Medicare certified. Let me go federal and see.
Yes.
And that's a challenge. And then once you reach that, then, you know, let me build this learning center. Let me get this learning center on the way. And, you know, I have all the paperwork ready. I have the building picked out. I have the plans already, you know, designed. I'm just, the vision is, it's plain.
That's
So-
right. Because
so,
you have
yeah.
to, and I think that that's wise because without vision,
People perish, or
Absolutely.
you need a vision.
you need a
And
vision.
a vision is, like you said, a business plan. You need a plan. So
You know, I always tell people, let's start with your vision. What's your vision? Write it out for me.
Yeah.
If someone tells me they have a big idea, write your vision out.
Yeah.
Write your mission out and then come talk to me.
yeah, and don't
Because
forget
then
about
that,
it.
No,
Yeah.
and then when you come talk to me, I'm going to give you some suggestions and some
Yes,
ideas on
that's good.
how to get going in that vision.
That's good. So,
LaWanda,
yeah.
this was excellent. I'm so glad that you, so you're the last,
Really?
you're the last business of this year that we'll be highlighting.
Okay.
It's called Love Thy Neighbor Senior Care.
Yes.
You got to go to the website, ltnseniorcare.com.
.com.
All right, this is LaWanda Moore with
Yes.
LTN Senior Care. This is the Business Connection. And if you want to be on, give me a jingle, give me a call, email me, and we'll get you on. Have a great day.
Thank you.